Greetings! My name is Turnin and today we're talking Warhammer! Again. Getting used to it yet? Well, you better. But not just any Warhammer, we're talking and explaining the Grand Alliance Death. So first of all, a regular disclaimer. This is intended to just give you a general overview of the playable factions. It's not all encompassing as much as I'd like it to be. But then we'd be here for 4 hours and I'd only put out a video once a lifetime as opposed to thrice. So put on your goth makeup and high heels and let's get right into... So first of all, what is the Grand Alliance Death? Well, to put it simply, it's essentially a catch-all term for everyone who has sworn loyalty, experiences may vary, to the great necromancer Nagash. If his name and beautiful visage didn't give him away, Nagi is a grade A necromancy undead enthusiast. He's literally the person who invented it, and he has the entirety of Shyish more or less to call his own. Unlike the wanton violence and destruction of chaos and well, destruction, Nagash is more of a grim mirror to the forces of order. Because, just like Sigmar, he's not just in the business of tearing stuff down, he's also trying to build something to last. A semblance of order in the madness of the mortal realms. Unfortunately, the way Nagi seeks to do this is by murdering every living thing in existence and raising them as unfeeling, unthinking and completely obedient undead. His order is one of unchanging eternity, of death and dust. Ironically, for such a control freak, however, his forces don't always get things done as directly and orderly as you might expect, and free will might be a bit more important than Nagash gives it credit. But with that in mind, let's dive right into the undead masses, starting off with...
So suck your dick, blood!
So let's start off with the most classic of the death factions. The Soulblight Gravelords are exactly what you'd expect when you hear spooky undead murder Mardi Gras. Endless waves of skeletons and zombies shambling towards the living like a rotten tidal wave, with night terrors lurking in the shadows, ready to rip and tear through their prey. All commanded by an ancient vampire and their supporting cast of tier 3 necromancer subs. Now, vampires are about what you expect them to be. Pale nocturnal narcissists with an iron deficiency and a tendency for melodramatica. But they do have one interesting thing going for them. In a faction where just about everyone's intelligence rates just below that of a Twitch streamer, they have that most insidious of things. Free will. Cause as much as Nagi would turn your bones into soup for saying this, you can't just point your zombie horde in a general direction of the living and hope for a World War Z style takeover. You need some strategy and a way to keep those ranks comparatively fresh. Similarly, you can't just murder bomb a kingdom, plant your flag and expect it to stay conquered forever. That territory needs to be managed and defended. And Mr. Godi or General Flaps ain't gonna be the ones to do so. So Bone Papa gave this authority to the vampires. Naturally, as the free-willed are bound to do, it took approximately 10 minutes before they started whining amongst themselves, splitting into different dynasties and bloodlines, each with their own centuries-old rivalries and grudges. Not great for the war effort, but wait, it gets even more shaky. Because they also did one of those other classical habits of free-willed individuals, actually thinking about things. And it didn't take long for the vamps to realize that if everyone were to die, they're going to have to start skipping a few meals. So while they still pay Nagash plenty of lip service, a fair few of them are quietly looking for ways to ease his grip a bit, and maybe claw themselves a bit of independence, with varying levels of success. As for sub-factions, these blood-sipping bastards are divided into the aforementioned dynasties, vampiric families that share specific traits or cultural bits and bobs, with some prominent examples including the Vrykos, for if you're #Team Jacob, the Avengori, for if you're an appreciator of creatures of a monstrous nature, and the Castellai, for if you wish to study the blade and suffer no shameful displays. Favorite model? Nagash! Because if I didn't put him somewhere in this video, he'd probably send skeletons to my house to beat me to death with hockey sticks.
This edible ain't shit.
So let's say you prefer your flavor of Halloween to be a bit more bloody and cannibalistic. A bit more Until Dawn and a lot less Castlevania. Well, say hello to the Flesh Eater Courts. Their story starts with one of the first vampires, a hot and cool gentleman by the name of Ushoran. Obviously, being cool and generally kinda nice, he managed to piss Nagash off. Maybe because he still had his nose and Nagi got jealous. Either way, the big man cursed Ushoran with looking like your alcoholic mother and threw him in a big tower with funhouse mirrors. This naturally caused him to go completely bonkers, until the tower eventually got knocked over, Ushoran escaped, and he created his own smelly lineage of ghouls and vamps. But here's where things get a bit more interesting. These ghouls might be disgusting murder gremlins ripping people apart with their bare hands, but they don't see it that way. In their minds, they are heroes. Armor glistening in the sun as they strike their enemies down with courage and honor. Ushoran didn't just pass down his good looks to his childer, he gifted them a little shared piece of madness. Where we see horrible bat-winged monstrosities, deranged gibbering Nosferatus, and Redditors, they see divine angelic warriors, holy priests manifesting miracles left and right, and like a knight or something. And it's contagious. Spend too much time around them, their territories, or God forbid, actually eat or drink anything they offer you, and you'll get pulled right into their glorious vision. And once you're in, that's it. You're on a one-way trip aboard the crazy train to Bonkersville, and there's no getting out. And this delusion can get weird. As in, when a ghoul picks up a wooden tube and looks through it like a spyglass, it'll actually work like one. Or if they hit you with a piece of bone, believing it to actually be the legendary +5 attack sword of Lord Bumsmore, they'll cut you clean in two. It's like the universe asks them for a source, and they hit it with the old Armstrong special, and the universe just goes, alright, whatever. As for subfactions, they are divided into a wide set of kingdoms and city-states. Read disgusting dilapidated ruins in a swamp somewhere. With the most celebrated being the Blister Skin, for if you want to praise the sun. The Gristle Gore, for if you just want to be at peace, man. And the Morgaunt, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Favorite model? Our renowned God Emperor himself. Forever praised be his name.
Please don't eat my ass spirit.
The Nighthaunt are next on our list, and they're probably among the easier factions to understand. Nighthaunt are ghosts, the tortured souls of the departed who have come back to this side of the sticks to haunt the living and bother random camera crews in abandoned housing. What is interesting, however, is why they are the way they are. And this is also where we get a little bit of characterization for old Mr. Gaigotsu, or at the very least the depths of his pettiness and crooked sense of humor. Cross him while you're alive, which isn't hard because he's kind of a grumpy bastard, and he'll curse you in the afterlife. Horrible criminals get transformed into chain rasps, bound and shackled for eternity, while cowardly schemers who never had the balls to own up to their actions are condemned to an eternity of bloodthirsty rampages, forced to be as obvious and unsubtle as possible, forever stuck doing what they dreaded the most. Nasty folks who maybe kinda had it coming, but on the other side you have the dread side Harridans, who slice and dice anything in their path while being fully aware but unable to control their limbs. Their crime? Saving people from the brink of death. Something that the god of death didn't particularly appreciate. This twisted justice means that every Nighthaunt has their own unique and probably quite depressing backstory. So if you're into making up your own narratives and are a fan of dark depressing media, this is your ghostly gang. As for their subfactions, they are divided into processions, spectral legions that have a bad habit of just appearing somewhere and causing a lot of trouble wherever they do. With some notable examples, including the Emerald Host, for if you're a 10-month sub to Lady Olinder's OnlyFans, the Scarlet Doom, for if you're angry, and the Quicksilver Dead, for if you want to murder fools but look absolutely fabulous while doing it. Favorite model? Lady Olinda, because I am one of those 10 months OnlyFans subs.
I am currently being hunted by the IRS for 16 counts of tax evasion.
So you've got your narcissistic Nosferatus, your rampaging murder hobos, and your depressed ghosts. But do you know what's really important? What actually matters? Taxes. And the Ossiarch Bone Reapers know this. and they will make sure you pay up. The Ossiarch Bone Reapers, or OBR for short, are in many ways Nagash's response to the Stormcast Eternals, his own special legion of undead super soldiers crafted body and soul specifically to serve him. Each one is meticulously crafted for a specific role, from no-brainers like soldiers, strategists and mages, to more unexpected things like architects and craftsmen. But no matter what tricks they're best at, they are all unflinchingly loyal to Nagash. However, soul shaping and constructing isn't a perfect science, and bits and pieces of individual personality can start seeping through. This means that while they look like a bunch of typical emotionless skellies, they're actually sentient beings with thoughts and emotions. Ironically, just like with the Vamps, Nagash's flagship faction against free will, rainbows and kittens has themselves a lot of autonomy, a fact that definitely keeps El Bon Padre up at night. But beyond being Nagash's murder legion of contradictions, they are also his personal debt collectors. Every settlement under Nagash's reign, or anyone who has the misfortune of being in the same postcode as the OBR, is eligible for the Bone Tithe. As the name implies, this means that you'll have to donate a set amount of specific bones at regular intervals. They don't care how you get these bones, and I'll leave it up to your individual imaginations, but they will notice if you try to cheat them or come up short. And if you refuse, well, they'll help themselves to whatever you owe them, and they are very thorough. Oh, and FYI, tax rates can and do vary. So, have fun. As for subfactions, the OBR divide themselves into legions, with the biggest being the Mortis Praetorians, for if you're a 10-month OnlyFans sub to Katakros, the Crematorians, for if you want to be equal parts friendship and existential crisis, and the Null Myriad, for if you want to make wizards cry. Ha! Bunch of nerds. Favorite model? Katakros, Lord of the Necropolis. And I mean, good lord, those are the kind of apps you can literally sharpen swords on. And that's it for now. If you like this rundown of spooks, remember to like, subscribe, donate your bones to me so that I may raise you into my evil undead army after you pass. And I'll see you all in the next one where we'll be covering the boys. Bye-bye.